Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. Today is May 26th. Now, it is happening in Abuja that breaking explosion rocks Mogadishu Barracks in Abuja, kills one person, injures many others. Before I go forward, for those of you who have been following me for months now, not new subscribers, last 3 months, I made 3 videos consecutively in 3 days explaining that by the beginning of June, July, August, that all these terrorists you see in the villages, that they will start coming out in the town. And I made mention that suicide bombers we used to see before, that from June, July, August, that these people will come out in the town. And this is just the end of May. We have started seeing something like this. And the military has confirmed that this person is a suicide bomber. He was coming to bomb the army barrack in Abuja. Army barrack in Abuja. And he was prevented. The question here is this: what will make someone to go and commit suicide in the name of killing people, if not the person being brainwashed, that once the person died, that there is a paradise waiting for the person? All these things are lies. People are being convinced that once you do this, paradise is waiting for you, because this is a cause we are doing for the kingdom. Religion is not good. Religion is not good. However, this is not just religion, this is terrorism. This is terrorism. Now, I want us to run through this article quickly for us to understand what transpired. It reads that an explosion occurred at the Mogadishu Barracks in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on Monday, leaving one person dead and another injured. According to eyewitnesses, the explosion was caused by an improvised explosive device, IED, contained in a rubber can. The deceased was believed to be a suicide bomber who was prevented from carrying out a larger attack. A military personnel at the scene described the situation. The man, believed to be a suicide bomber, was killed by an explosive contained in a rubber can close to Mogadishu Barracks in Abuja. So that is what the military confirmed. However, the military authorities present at the scene have raised doubts about the cause of the explosion, suggesting it could have been triggered by a phone device rather than an IED. The FCT Police Command, in confirming the incident, said it has cordoned off the scene of the explosion that occurred along the Mararaba-Nyanya bypass on Monday, May 26, 2025 at approximately 2:50 p.m. The command said the blast prompted an immediate response from the police, who deployed officers from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit to the scene. One male victim was rescued and rushed to the hospital for medical attention. The police have commenced a comprehensive investigation, including forensic analysis, to determine the exact cause and nature of the explosion. We urge members of the public to remain calm and go about their lawful activities without fear, as there is currently no cause for alarm, said SP Josephine Ade, Police Public Relations Officer, FCT Command. Residents are also enjoined to remain vigilant and promptly report any suspicious persons, object, or movement to the nearest police. This incident highlights the ongoing security concerns in Nigeria, particularly in the national capital. The end of the article. Anyway, it's a concerning one, it's a concerning issue that explosion occurred in Abuja. This is not the first time anyway, and this I don't think will be the last time. But if Nigeria are security conscious, if Nigeria is a country that really want to survive, I think Nigeria is supposed to have developed more than this. That in the Federal Capital Territory, they don't have bomb detectors and all those things, especially at the bus park, airport, all these areas. It's very cheap to install. So it is what it is. Let me know what you think about this.
Buhari set up protocols in which those who work with the state are in collusion with these terrorists, and President Tinubu, our security services, I believe, have been Afghanistan. You know, the Afghanistanization of the security services simply means the infiltration of our security services. It is wrong to have allowed Atiku to succeed Buhari. It will be one Fulani after the other, and as you see, the Fulanis killing people across the country. Why? They want to appropriate the country.
Be careful of the use of words.
Allow me to use my words, please.
Yeah,
Let
no, I'm
use
saying
the words,
this is a national
you might be very
television,
careful.
and there are good people in
I
every
am speaking
tribe.
about national security. Hold on, please. My brother, this is a national security issue.
Yes.
There is a war on. You want to pretend there's no war. There's a war
pretending.
on.
I'm only saying there are
a lot
good
of
people
you
in every
journalists are
tribe.
part of the problem. You don't want to address the truth. There's a war on. Why are you saying you're not pretending? There's a war on. People are being killed everywhere. You're saying there's no war. What do you mean you're not pretending? You are. You are part of the problem in this country. Allow us to speak the truth so that people will know what's going on. There's a war on. People in the Benue cannot go to farm. People in Plateau cannot stay in their houses. People in Taraba can't. Everywhere there's a war. And you're telling me that we should keep quiet? No, I know there's a failure of our security architecture to actually tailor and prepare what I would call an intelligent response to the current insecurity across the country. They might end up having us, resort to self-help. I know I have seen in several communities, people are now designing their own self-help strategies. And I even read some yesterday advising people, whatever you do, don't tell anybody, because when you speak, because of members of the state probably in complicit, collusion, as General Danjuma stated. It's not everybody that works for the Nigerian state that are today in collusion. But because of Buhari's set of protocols in which those who work with the state are in collusion with these terrorists, and President Tinubu had not been able to weed those people out, it becomes a problem trusting them. And that's why I can understand his sudden attempt to now resort to a new body called the Forest Guards. They may not be infiltrated, and that they may be able to build something that has not yet been Afghanistan. Our security services, I believe, have been Afghanistan. The Afghanistanization of the security services simply means the infiltration of our security services of those evil people, the terrorists, just the same way Buhari ran what he called a de-radicalization policy, which now got him to infuse members of the terrorist movement into the security services, primarily the army. And what did you have? Suddenly, these people infused and are the ones providing intelligence to those who didn't get converted, through the radicalization problem. So we have a problem. There is not a proper stating of priorities of state by departments of state, in this case, the Department of State Security. What they are going after is not the proper thing to do. They should be gathering intelligence to tell the army or the police who to go and hold or to take away from the space so that we can have peace. They're not doing that. The crisis is still sustaining all across the country. People are being killed, and these militias are killing people everywhere, and nobody's doing a thing. So for me, the state is still very much asleep and sleeping right on the wheels. It is wrong to have allowed Atiku to succeed Buhari. It will be one Fulani after the other, and as you see, the Fulanis killing people across the country. Why? They want to appropriate the country.
Be careful of the use of words. When you generalize.
Allow me to use my words, please.
Yeah, I'm saying this is a national
You might be very careful.
And there are good people in every tribe.
I am speaking about national security. Hold on, please. My brother, this is a national security issue.
Yes.
There is a war on. You want to pretend there's no war. There's a war
pretending. I'm only saying there are
a lot of you journalists are part of the problem. You don't want to address the truth. There's a war on. Why are you saying you're not pretending? There's a war on. People are being killed everywhere. You're saying there's no war. What do you mean you're not pretending? You are. You are part of the problem in this country. Allow us to speak the truth so that people will know what's going on. There's a war on. People in the Benue cannot go to farm. People in Plateau cannot stay in their houses. People in Taraba can't. Everywhere there's a war, and you're telling me that we should keep quiet? No, there's a problem. So those who are responsible for the war simply want to turn Nigeria into a settler colonial entity, and that's what's going on. You don't see that. You're seeing the politics. Forget about the politics. There is a real problem in the country. People are not sleeping at night. People, even in daytime, our farmers cannot go to farms. We now have food security problems. Why? The Fulani war across West Africa has finally bettered in Nigeria. And you don't want me to talk about it. Why? Who are you afraid of? Who will hear it and we will die? This is the problem. The country has gone wrong. Because a lot of you keep quiet. I'm aware of this. So please, when we have a problem like this serious national security issue, we must speak to it and not pretend it doesn't exist. It does exist. There's nothing wrong with implosion. Implosions are historically normal in human situations. When you put too many things inside one container, they could implode when that container can no more bear them. What you will ask yourself is, after the implosion, where do we go to? Are you afraid of implosion? No, don't be afraid of implosion. In most societies, without an implosion, nobody knocks the gong and calls people to come and talk and find out solutions to the crisis that undermine the community. Nigeria currently is at a crossroad. There is a war on, an asymmetrical war, and the government seems very weak about it. People are panicking and people are running, thinking that Tinubu can help. And that's the problem. If other politicians cannot, well, there's nothing wrong for the sake of security thinking that Tinubu will be different from either Atiku or Buhari. I see nothing different in Atiku and Buhari. They're the same 10 and 10 pence. So Tinubu is the only one that's different from them. If you're telling me now, and I'll talk about security situation, that's the problem. The country is in dire straits, and the security architecture looks like it has been Afghanistan. It is right now ineffective. And that's why you're hearing people talk about state police and protocols that will allow the people to be able to protect themselves. We are moving towards that. If the government cannot help, people will resort to self-help. My brother, the security situation is serious and it is real. And this is the problem. We're not talking about it. We're pretentiously talking about it on the political front. There are underplays that are driving this problem in. One, the military are not united. Two, because of under the Buhari administration, there was a large-scale Afghanization of the Nigerian security services. I mean, Afghanization, you understand what it is. It's the penetration by political interests into the security services to actually plant soldiers who will do things in line with their own security intentions. And if they want to take over the country, of course, the easiest way is to put their militias into our army, or rather, to have our army give up weapons and give up bases easy to their militias. And that's what's going on. So people are actually, yes, that's why you're seeing some people try to run to Tinubu. But sometimes they might also stop running to Tinubu and start organizing for themselves. I foresee people resorting to self-help. You see the army base. Ask yourself, I've spent it on this program before. Tinubu might have taken over power, but is he in charge security-wise all over the country? I don't think so. There are a lot of infiltrations perpetrated during the Buhari period that Tinubu has not yet been able to undo. You now see a lot of those taken into security services, people who are said to be the radicalized elements from Boko Haram. It is those radicalized elements that are now showing the Boko Haram and all these Islamist fronts, militias, what to do in the country. At the end of the Civil War, Nigeria was 70% Christian, 30% Muslim. But the Muslims have been fighting to try to turn everything upside down. So, and their Muslim politicians are also doing the same thing. So I tell you, there is an Afghanization of Nigerian security services underway. And that's what I can tell you. I don't believe in all those things that are being done. If it is here, people agitating for peacefully, agitating for different standards, you will see the army come to the east and start arresting people, start arresting Sunday Igbo. How come the army are not strong up north? Don't forget, these same security strategies were employed to undermine President Goodluck Jonathan. And now that the same set of people are not happy with President Tinubu, they are now employing the same strategy to suddenly undermine President Tinubu. That's why I'm telling you that what you're having now is an Afghanization of the security services. So that has been known for a very long time, and I have been very strong on this. Speaking about security, where most people were very afraid to even allow me speak. what happened today is all over the place. What I've been saying for the past 12 years, is it not all over the place? And these were products of hard research findings. I traveled to Mali, I went to Burkina Faso, I went to Cote d'Ivoire, I went to Ghana, I traveled to Yemen, the homeland of the Fulani, and I found out these problems. I presented it to Nigerians, and I told them there is a war on to take land from Nigerians, take the land, take over the land, administer over the land, colonize the people who own the land. And that's what I tell you, it is the new version of settler colonialism taking place in Nigeria. Even helped by Buhari administration. Buhari told people to come into the country with guns. How could you let people come through your border with guns? Those people with guns are now using those guns to colonize and arrest and kidnap Nigeria.